Hey there, it's me, Crystal, and today I just kind of wanted to talk about like when you have a project and it flops and you feel really bad about it. So, I was working on this story called The Puppet Box, and it was like a supernatural horror. And so I kind of just wanted to talk about like what I thought like went awry while I was writing it so that I can better listen to my gut in the future. So I recently went to a writing conference, and one of the keynotes they had was kind of like a couch keynote, and so they had four writers kind of like on this panel, just talking about like writing related stuff and publishing stuff. And there's something that a couple of them said that really stuck out to me. Like they were talking about, and this is apparently really common, like after you publish your first book, like you kind of fall into this trap of every book has to be a bestseller, every book has to be better than the last one because now your work is out there in the world and people can see it. And it's like when I was writing Noah's for the Wicked, which came out in May, like I didn't really have anything to lose. I wasn't like if the story didn't work out, I didn't have to do anything with it, and if it did work out, then I could cross that bridge when I got there. And so there wasn't like a lot of pressure, and it was just kind of like I had gotten so frustrated like on my writing journey because I kind of write in what I like to call like a no man's land. I have characters that are like in their early 20s, and so technically it's new adult, but a lot of new adult is very romancy, and I'm not a romancy writer. And so I kind of felt like I didn't have anywhere to put my work. And so for about 3.5 years, I kind of forced myself to write young adult. And I didn't think it would be that big of a difference. But there was something about forcing myself to write young adult that like really wrecked my writing, for lack of a better description. And I wasn't doing it for the right reasons either. I wasn't doing it because I wanted to write young adult. I kind of figured I might as well try it, and I thought I would get more attention from agents if I did. And unfortunately, I did. So that made it that much harder to stop writing it when it was making me miserable and it wasn't working out. But because I'd had like, 3.5 years of books that were like not that great, because even though I feel like in general I'm a good writer, when I feel like when you're forcing yourself to write something that it compromises like the quality of the work and the enjoyability of the work. So like with No Rest for the Wicked, even if I was comparing myself to my previous stories that I had written several in a row that I didn't really like. So the stakes were not super high with that story. It was just like, just get it out, like just get words on the page, just have fun, and just write what you want to write, because I feel like that's the best way sometimes to do like your best work, especially if you have kind of like ideas and you write in a genre that's kind of pseudo marketable anyway. And then when I was writing Winter Siren, which is coming out in November, like my first book hadn't come out yet, and so I was kind of like in between. And so while I had my inner editor sitting on my shoulder, like screaming in my ear the whole time, because I had just worked with a professional editor for the first time, and I have not read or looked at a Chicago manual of style since I was in college, so there was a lot of like technical things and mechanical things I just didn't know. And so while I was writing Winter Siren, it was like, oh, fix this, fix that. But like my excitement and my passion for the story were greater than the negative voices in my head. And I felt the same when I was working on No Rest for the Wicked, even though I had these voices in my head that were like, what are you going to do with this? No, nobody cares. I was so excited about the story and I loved it so much that I was able to kind of mute everything else and just and get the words out. So I kind of feel like the biggest problem I had with the puppet box was I had put too much pressure on myself, and I had all like these extra voices in my head. I had my inner editor. I was still coming down off of, writer's high from the previous story. And then I had like early reviews coming out, and even though they were all good, it just kind of like, I felt like the story had to be better than anything I've ever written before. Everybody's going to be disappointed. And ultimately, my passion for the project and my love for it and my excitement for it were not great enough to drown out the negative chorus of background noise that I had going on. And that's really the biggest problem. There are some other like smaller problems, like the story, like I am a paranormal person, like to the max. Most of the content I consume is paranormal in nature. All of my most favorite things outside of like Married with Children and Family Guy are like paranormal, and most of the books I read are paranormal. I feel like the concept of the story is right up my alley, and I love the concept, which is why I haven't trashed the story yet. I do want to like somehow figure out a plot that is more in line with like my strengths and my taste and my interest and my passions. But I feel like the current plot that I was working on was just a little too realistic, and I feel like it was clashing with the concept. Like, I like to write stories that have some kind of magical element, and the magical element in the current version of the story is just too understated, and I think I'm just finding everything a little boring. So I'm not really sure what to do with it. I did finish it. I keep going back and forth and being happy that I finished it because at least it's done and I have a full picture to look at. And then on the other hand, I'm like, I kind of wish I hadn't finished it and so I could save myself some stress. I do think it's okay to quit something if it's not working. Now, I think if somebody's just starting out and they haven't finished anything yet, they need to finish, you know, the first few things they write for sure. At this point in my writing journey, I have finished like 21 stories, I think. And of course I have, you know, at least twice that many stories that are unfinished. But it's kind of like if I'm working on something and I do feel like I need to quit it, it's like I know I can finish something and I know that I can push through a story when things get hard. Because I have like, you know, 20 something books that I can look at and say, well, you finished these 21 books over here, so you know you can finish something, and that way I know I'm not just like running because things have gotten hard. Because every single story gets hard at some point, whether it's the beginning or the ending or like somewhere in the middle or even just during the brainstorming process or during the editing process. At some point, I'm going to look at what I'm working on and think, why are you doing this? This is stupid. Quit. But it is that, you know, like that love for the story and that excitement that drive me to push past, you know, like those hard times and finish something. And I know I can do that because I've done it several times. And so I just feel like at this point in my journey, it's okay if I need to quit something, but I don't want to get in the habit of quitting stuff. And so I did go ahead and push through it and lost a lot of sleep and caused myself some stress. But yeah, at this point, I don't really know what I'm going to do with it right now. It's just kind of sitting kind of like on hold, which is what I do the stories that I don't know what to do with. It gives me some time to see if I can figure out a fix for it. Like, I don't want to do something rash and just trash it just because I'm mad. And so this keeps me from, you know, just dumping the story without giving it a chance, to fix itself. And I also do feel like one of the mistakes I made was that I started working on this story like literally the same day I finished Winter Siren. And so like whenever like I finish a story, like most writers, like you're just really excited and you're on like this writer's high, and I had not had time to come down from that, and I should have given myself a break of a few days at least. A week would have been best. And so yeah, so I like to do things like that, you know, take a few days off, you know, binge watch, you know, like Bates Motel or just something fun, you know, just to like kind of cleanse like that writer's palette and like bring me back to like a kind of like a place of like homeostasis, to where like I'm calm. And I think if I had taken a break, I'm not sure I would have jumped right into that story. I think the other problem was I wanted to publish another book in the fall, and I'm a fast writer, so it's kind of like it's not necessary for me to like immediately jump into another project all the time. It's kind of like it's okay if you need to take a week off or even 2 weeks off to kind of clear your head, because it's just really hard to function when I'm just like, I feel like I just have to like go all the time. But anyway, I was just thinking about that because I'm about to film a work in progress tag, and I was thinking about my work in progresses. But yeah, so thanks for watching, and thanks for listening to me ramble about my work, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.